Hi, I'm Annie Woods, and I am a life coach and content creator from the Dominican Republic that now lives in the United States. I help immigrants build the life of their dreams via my coaching practice and my content. And today I want to share with you 5 things I wish I would have known before immigrating. Number 1, you will experience emotions that you either have never felt before or have never felt this intensely. This is because touristic traveling or business traveling do not prepare you really for all of the transitions that will be required to make your new life possible. I will confess that I was completely overconfident when I moved in 2016 because I have been traveling since I was 10 years old, and I knew in my heart from the moment that I first landed in New York that the US was the place for me. So even though I always had this conviction, and even though I always knew that this was my place, I did not prepare myself for the loss and grief and the intense emotion of leaving everything I knew behind. So when it came to be that I was here, that my dream had come true, I felt the contradiction of excitement, happiness, knowing that I made a lifelong dream possible, and also the grief and the loss of the life that I had that I didn't even know I appreciated or I liked or wanted. So if you're preparing to immigrate, make sure that you build the basis, the emotional basis for your transition. Prepare yourself and be compassionate with yourself as you move into this next stage, because it is inevitable. It doesn't matter how much you've dreamt of this, it doesn't matter how much you've prepared for this. The hard emotions, even the euphoric emotions, might be too overwhelming. And you want to prepare mentally so that you can lay the ground for a healthy acceptance of all of these feelings. And in this way, you will be able to process them, manage them, and eventually move past them. Of course, the grief never goes away. Grief is part of life, and there are things that you're always gonna miss. I always miss my mom's cooking. I miss hanging out with my friends over the holidays. I miss a lot of things, but I'm also very, very, very grateful for the life that I've been able to build with my partner, with my friends here in the US, and more importantly, with myself. It opened up a window to a whole lot of possibilities of who I could be, which is something that we don't consider often enough when we think about immigrating, the possibility of being exactly who we want to be. So be prepared. There's gonna be big feelings, and you're gonna feel them all over your body, and they might come when you least expect them, but they will come. The second thing that I really wish I would have known before immigrating, I can start building community, and you can start building community even before you land in your new country. Immigrants need community. We need a space in which we feel like we belong. And when we land in a new place, when we land in a new country and city, it can be very overwhelming to feel alone, feel that lack of connectivity to a space. So one of the things that I discovered over time and working with other immigrants is that there are ways in which you can start immersing yourself in your new city, your new town, your new country, even before you arrive. And it blew my mind, because even though I started doing this thing shortly after I immigrated, I wish I really would have done them before. Things like joining Facebook groups based on my interests, joining a class of something that I wanted to learn. if you are not super proficient at the language of the country or city or town that you're visiting or going to live in, not visiting, then you might want to join a language class, a cooking class. You might want to find other people of your nationality online in your town and make sure that you start building those connections, slide into people's DMs even before you arrive. I'll give you a great example. I moved originally to Des Moines, Iowa from the Dominican Republic, and from Des Moines I ended up moving to North Carolina. And one of my favorite Instagrammers, now YouTuber, Sarah Jane Case, who is a master at the Enneagram, lives in Asheville, North Carolina, which is the town that I ended up moving to. And before I moved, I made it a point of slide into her DMs and connect with her and ask her for suggestions and things that I could do in town. Once I moved to the city of Asheville, I boldly just asked her to go out and grab a coffee with me. And granted, Sarah Jane and I are not best friends, but it's lovely to know, or it was amazing to know, that once I was moving to Asheville, I had a little bit of a connection that transcended the space and time in which I was inhabiting. You can do the same. What are the things that you are into? What are the classes that you want to take? What are the communities that you want to be a part of? Where are the other people from your country in your new country? Find them and start building that connection now. Oh, and another super important thing that you can do, volunteer your time. Especially if you're bilingual, you are a great asset to wherever you're going, because they probably need someone like you to bridge the gap between an organization and a newcomer. So be bold, be brave, and start building community right now. Number 3, and this one is a doozy, because I know that I'm gonna speak about this from a place of privilege to an extent, and it is about financial stability. A lot of people move out of their country, move to a new country, because they are seeking for a better quality of life. They are looking for better job opportunities, better salaries, ways to help their families. I moved because I personally needed to. My soul did not mix with my country of origin. But I wish I would have been better financially prepared to take the plunge. I wish I would have had an emergency fund. I wish I would have had some sort of safety net that would have helped me through the process. So a little bit of my background or my story, my immigration story, is that I moved to the US as a fiance. I'm a 90-day fiance, and I ended up marrying my spouse. But between the time of my marriage and the time that I got my work permit, I was not making any money. And I am a person that is super independent, very focused on creating for myself. So that made me, spiral down in shame. I was not producing, I was not contributing to my household, even though my partner was amazing at the time with, bringing in the bread, and I took care of the household. I became a stay-at-home wife, which I hated at the moment. But even at that moment, I realized that there were ways that I could start bringing some money in. And I wish I would have thought about that before I moved. Because things that I could have done before I moved was start a side hustle, which was the onset actually of my coaching practice. I have been a coach since maybe for 10 years now, and I did not intend to practice coaching until I moved. I started talking to my friends and said like, hey, do you need a coach? And it was just like a minimal amount that they would pay me to coach them, but it still meant that my worth, my value, what I was bringing to the table was there in my relationship. It was very validating to me. But more importantly, being financially stable, whatever that looks like for you, means mental stability. So fast forward 2 years after my immigration, and I ended up getting a divorce. And it was a very, very vulnerable place to be. And it is one of the reasons why people stay in relationships, especially people that have come into new countries via marriage, stay in abusive relationships because they have not developed the financial security to be able to leave abusive relationships. And in those 2 years, I didn't build a strong enough foundation, but thankfully I built a strong enough community. Look back to point number 2. I built a strong enough community that held me while I built my wealth. And even though it was a kick in the butt, it was something that drained me. And my immigration process became very, very costly because of the divorce. I am very grateful of how I now view money and how money is central to the immigrant experience, because we cannot meditate our way out of financial scarcity. We cannot, build anything when we are in survival, and financial instability is survival mode. So my invitation for you, if you are planning to immigrate soon, if you're planning to immigrate at some other point, or if you just recently immigrated, start building that safety fund, start building that emergency fund, because you have no idea how much peace of mind that's gonna bring you. Number 4, the habits that you build will build the life that you want. So speaking from a personal perspective, I have always been strong in habit building, but I didn't understand how important this was going to be until March 2020. What happened in March 2020? A lot of you might remember that we went into a little bit of a thing called lockdown, but also 2 weeks after lockdown, I found out that the USPS, the postal service here in the United States, had lost a crucial piece of paper that set me back 3 years in my immigration process, which meant that I had to start over. And the trauma, the physical, the sheer despair that I felt the day that I found out, and every day subsequently, could only be managed through strong habits. What do I mean by this? I mean that had I not built solid health habits, solid practices in my day, which for me are, for example, meditation, journaling, working out, eating healthy, connecting with people regularly, I would have not been able to make it. So many times I wanted to just get on a plane and get back home, stop spending money. I asked myself, is this really worth it? And every single time I knew that if I held on to my habits, if I held on to a healthy lifestyle for myself, I was gonna make it through. One of the big changes that I made while I was in that survival experience was that I stopped drinking, because I realized it was making things worse. It was making my anxiety worse. The one important component of that process for me was really starting therapy and starting to work with someone that could help me manage those big physical and emotional feelings. So whatever habits look like for you, if you have not immigrated yet, if you're planning to, or if you are on your way, make sure that you start building now the life that you want for the future, because your life is built on your habits. Your life is built on the decisions that you've made. And you are going to know this because you already made the biggest decision of your life, which was leaving your country behind. Sadly, those decisions don't stop there. So now you can find, find a YouTube channel. And if you want to learn how I personally build habits as an immigrant and the habits that I built upon in my immigration process, please feel free to leave a comment. Let me know what you want to know. Let me know about your immigration experience. Let me know what you're struggling with, so that I can create content that will support you in this process as well. So look for YouTube channels, look for videos, books, whatever it is that it takes for you to start building habits that will support you. A book that's super popular by James Clear is Atomic Habits. It's all about starting small, highly recommended. And yeah, get on it. Build the habits that you want your life to reflect, because there's so much that's going to be outside of your control right now that you want to focus on the things that are within your control. And those are the things that you do every single day. That I would have liked to know before I immigrated. Things will look very, very different once you arrive. And you get to be flexible. You get to embrace that change. A lot of us, when we immigrate, we have this big dream of who we're going to be and the dreams that we're going to achieve and all of the goals that we are going to crush the moment we land. But it turns out that those goals might be 5, 6, 7, or 10 years down the line. It means, this means that you still get to live your life and build the blocks to get to that. You don't get to stop simply because life doesn't feel perfect. A lot of people come to the US, for example, and I was one of them, thinking about my entrepreneurial journey and starting my first business and all of that fun stuff. And I did. I started it right away. And then going back to that financial stability piece, I did not have the solid foundation to be able to support myself from that business once I had a divorce. So I was forced to get a job. But that job, on the other hand, gave me experiences and connections that have led me to greater and greater opportunities with time, and now have landed me here in a place in which I'm helping dozens of immigrants every year to build their own life. It is not sacrifice. It is building your life. If things don't look perfect right now, if you don't have the house of your dream, the car of your dreams, the partner of your dreams right now, that doesn't mean they're not coming. But it means that you have to put in the work and you have to build that life, because you already made a big, big, bold choice and you deserve to get yours. So be flexible. Be compassionate, and see every potential roadblock or every potential disappointment as an opportunity to build on the skills that you're going to need to thrive in the future. You fucking got this. So there you have it, folks. Those are the 5 things I wish I would have known before immigrating. And there's plenty more, I'm sure, and I will be sharing those with you in the future. If you find use in this content, if you feel seen by this content, if you want to learn something different from my content, please drop a comment below and I will be more than happy to interact with you and learn from you. If you want to learn about habits, building financial stability as an immigrant, building community as an immigrant, or anything else, please let me know. And also remember to hit that subscribe button, because it really, 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 really helps other immigrants find the help that they need. You can find me on Instagram as Annie P. Woods. And yeah, let's connect wherever we can. Have a great one.